left the under 20 tournament to also play for. You know that I was supposed to graduate from under 17 to under 20. Eventually, they play under 23. Should they go and play at the what's the tournament again? Olympics as it stands. So maybe we should not rush them. Yes, maybe for experience, they should invite one or two of them to actually come and participate and go and be the extra men, so to speak, just to have the World Cup feel. But I think they should finish this and eventually win the 4th trophy. Then let's see what goes on from there. Do Nandi.
Yes. I think the national team is not the only platform where these guys could
shine, so to speak.
Yes, it's not the only because national team football comes in, it's not as regular as club football. So do we have the structures that can accommodate these guys? It's not everybody that will go to play for some of the top clubs. Look, let's take an example of countries like Spain. You have some of the big clubs with their well-structured, established academies. If you cannot play at those big clubs, what they do, they loan you how to a smaller club in the top flight division, where you can go and mature. By the time they discover that you're fully matured for the bigger challenge, they bring you back to this club. Do we have that kind of a structure here? No. When did that come back? These guys, this young your kids come back to Nigeria. What happened to them? Will all of them go to Europe? Not. Even if maybe if he gets to Imba, would he be able to fit into the Imba's main team? That's the first question. If he can't, where would you take him to? So that's the big challenge we have here. And some of them will not come back. They want to play for some of those academies they came for. They won't do that. What structures do you have that can accommodate this guy?
Right. That's encourage them going.
Yes, because you can't see, because at the end of the day, you find out that some of these guys will get lost somewhere in the hinterland of Asia, maybe somewhere in the Eastern European countries. I think yes, and so we must be able to see how we can accommodate these guys. National team football is not the only football that they have. They can excel. They have club football also. Yeah, that's right. So many things to actually look forward to. But I think they're winners, whatever case it is. They've qualified for the semi-finals. Eventually, they will play the 3rd place should they even fail to qualify to the final stage of the tournament. But they get to play against the Swedish side. Remember, we played the Swedish side in the group stage and it ended 3-3. It was a difficult game against the Swedish, but they've learned their lessons. I'm sure the Swedish themselves have learned their own lessons, and I'm sure they're willing to actually want to play the Super Golden Eagles. Forgive me if I say that. All right, Mexico will be taking on Argentina. This game, the semi-final appearance will take place on the 5th of November. That's when we'll see both legs of the semi-final. Sweden will take on Nigeria, and Mexico will play host to Argentina. That's what it is. I'm not going to ask you to predict. If I want to be unfair to you, maybe I should go ahead and do that to you, man, Larry.
I'll be hoping that Nigeria will get one over Sweden. We made individual errors against Sweden, you know, the goalkeeper and then some defensive blunders. Hopefully, we'll have rectified that. We don't seem to make the same mistake twice, particularly against the same team. Remember when we played Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast at the African Championship? They defeated us in the group stage. By the time we got to the final, we marked them evenly, and then it was 1-1, and then the game ended on the lottery of penalties. So I expect that Nigeria would have learnt against Sweden, and we'll get one over them. Argentina has been they've not been very, very imperious the way Brazil have played this tournament. Unfortunately, Brazil crashed out to, I think it was Mexico on penalties, and right now Argentina will try their mettle against Mexico. However it is, you might suspect that if Mexico qualifies, they will be playing one of the teams that they've actually played in the same group. So 3 teams from the same group. You're talking about Mexico, Nigeria, and Sweden.
Mexico qualified the best losers.
Exactly. You know, they lost scandalously to Nigeria in the first game 6-1, and they've done themselves a world of good by coming back into the semi-final. So you expect that, irrespective of who we meet, we'll be playing South American or North American opposition all the way in the final.
And we're the only African country
Europeans.
So I'm sure all Africans will actually rally around the Golden Eagles as they try and see if they can win the 4th tournament. All right, that's it about under 17. We need to move on now, cut of time. Just recently, just yesterday night, we can authoritatively tell you that Stephen Keshi has released a 25-man list that will be playing the Ethiopians and also implementing the Italian friendly that will take place on the 18th of November in Fulham Cottage, Craven Cottage in England. And the 25-man list will probably be giving you on your screen right now. It didn't change much for the 23 list. What we have in goal, we have Vincent Ayama, Austin Ejide, and Chigozie Agbim. These are the 3 keepers that have been selected by Coach Stephen Keshi. In defense line, we will maintain that Kenneth Omora has joined them. We still have James Okosa. Gabriel Ruben also has joined the fray. We have Elderson Echejile, Benjamin Francis, Solomon Kwambe, Azubuike Igweke, Godfrey Babuna, Efe Ambrose, and James Okosa, like I did mention. In the midfield, it didn't change much. We didn't see any difference. We just saw addition of Gabriel Ruben coming to the fray of the midfielders. But it says the same that Sunday Umba, Mikel Obi will be in the midfield, and we expect to see the likes of Ogen Yonazi, John Ogu, Victor Moses, Inamde Duamadi, Nosa Gebo will complete the midfield. In the strike force, that didn't change as well. We have Shola Miobi, Uwofo actually is a part of that side. and we also saw the likes of Emenike joining the strike force. So he didn't change much. Ahmed Musa also completing the top squad. He didn't change much, talking about the people invited by the teams, players.
He only had it two.
He only had the two, Kenneth Omero and Gabriel Ruben, and deservedly so. I mean, I think Gabriel Ruben is fantastic. He has not been opportune to play for any major tournament, but he was instrumental in qualifying for most of these tournaments. I
think the last time Ruben played for the Super Eagles was the game against Malawi in Blantyre. Yeah. Was the score of that goal. But after then, he moved to Kilmarnock in Scotland. But you know, Ruben's issue, when he got to the Nations Cup, he had a bout of a huge bout of malaria, and that actually affected his
physical fitness.
At the Nations Cup. But since then, injury here and there, in and out of the team, going to training. But now he's back. But I hope Keshi has to be a bit careful, because Omero too has his own issue, has injury, laid off for quite a while.
I don't think they're going to be a part of the Ethiopian game. Probably the Italian.
Maybe the Italian game, but trying to look at where you can, if they can fix them into the team, try to integrate them. I think we are looking at better options for the national team. Egrike, even though Omero was out of the team, Egrike was able to fill into this way. A lot of people have question marks as to his recovery rate.
That takes me to another point, Larry, and I need to say something on this too. Seems that we already have, should we qualify against the Ethiopians, we already have a goal advantage, considering the fact that we played 2-1 with the Ethiopians. Should we qualify for the World Cup? When we qualify for the World Cup, this seems like this will be the boys that we're going to implement the tournament in Brazil.
Definitely. If you see the trend,
that's what it looks like.
If you see the trend, it's been almost 70% of the boys that went to the Nations Cup. A few players dropped here and there, a few players added here and there. James Okosa has a great crash, so to speak.
Because of Kenneth Omero.
Because of Kenneth Omero. Omero now returning, Gabriel Ruben returning, and so many of them like that. It's been axe and chop, and he's been trying to mix and match, so to speak. And it's a good one. It can only bode well. It's only a good omen that, you know, once players get injured, others can actually come in. Now nobody's talking about some certain players. I don't want to mention their names, but you know, the so-called captain, the so-called players in England who were part of this team. So nobody, because Keshi is actually getting results, you know, with
the boys he has.
Boys.
Okay, all right. So that's it. That's it. We eventually will keep on running on the station to let you know the official 25-man list that has been released by Stephen Keshi, that will implement both the Ethiopian game come 16th of November, and also the international friendly that will take place in London against Italy on the 18th of October. That said, now we'll also talk about the Orlando Pirates game. They ended 1-1. The CAF Champions League final, first leg took place yesterday in South Africa. The match ended 1-1 apiece with Al Ahly. They played the first leg, and eventually they will get to play the second leg on the 10th of November, and that will be Orlando Pirates visiting Egypt to see if they can get one. I don't know, it's going to be a difficult game, but well, I don't know whether to say kudos, but they got a goal in the dying minute of the game, talking about Orlando Pirates. It's been a long time they've been in the final, so I'm sure they're really cherishing this period.
Well, the last time they won the tournament was 1995 when they beat ASEC. And you know the drama. They played the 2-2 draw in South Africa.
Yeah.
Went to Cote d'Ivoire, beat ASEC 1-0. Yeah. Won the trophy right before the ASEC fans. So I think Al Ahly has to be very careful. We've seen results like this. Even Al Ahly themselves, they played, I think it was in 2006 against CX Sfaxien. They played the 1-1 hot draw in Egypt. A goalless draw in Tunisia would have seen CX Sfaxien win the trophy.
And they defeated CS Vaccine.
1-0. Scored by the same Abuchika that scored this goal. So I think they have to be careful.
Legendary Abuchika.
Legendary Abuchika. And the drama of that game was that fans of CS Vaccine went out to buy drinks to celebrate. When they came back, they discovered that their fans were coming out quiet. They were shocked. I think it was a drama. To the end of that game, that was what ended everything.
So I'm sure we'll be witnessing something dramatic come the 10th of November too as well, when we get to see this final leg.
Don't forget also that they were in the same group. Orlando Pirates and Al Ahly. Yeah. Orlando Pirates defeated Al Ahly in Egypt 3-0. Yeah. Right there in their backyard, 3-0, and it wasn't as if anybody was injured. They had the full complement, although it was during the Ramadan period, I think, and they were fasting, so to speak. But don't take anything away from Orlando Pirates. I think they're good travelers, and they deserve to be in the final.
That's right. All right, that's it. Now, quickly, before we go and talk about the league in Europe, let's talk about the MPFL. We'll talk some about it when Ken comes back in the course of the program to actually see another twist and turn to it. But the MPFL, the league has ended, but it's still busy. And I'm going to allow you to say so many things about it. In the course of the week, we have a communique release. We may not have time to actually deliberate on that communique, but I can pick bits and pieces from the communique released by the club owners. Now, we are back to that issue of club owners and club representatives. I mean, some people rather use the club owners, but we all know that these clubs are presently be run and owned by the state government. But that aside now, these guys are being mandated by the actual club owners to run